Welcome everyone to our webinar on ACH registration on how to pay duty directly to U.S. Custom. So the webinar format today will be done by three presenters. Myself, Bruno Gravel, I'm the Vice President of Business Development with Access. Been in the industry for more than 25 years, 11-year experience with Access International. Also today we'll have with us our expert, Andrea Escorcia. Andrea, you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Sandra Escorcia. I'm the Director of U.S. Customs. I've been with Access for 13 years, and I'm very happy to continue being part of this team.
And the last but not the least, our Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, Bruno. So my name is Pierre-Marc Javet. I'm the CEO at Access International Canada and USA. Myself, I haven't been in the industry for that long, but my family has been in business since 1948. So I'm a licensed custom broker. It's a pleasure to be with you today. So to introduce you to ACH registration, and I hope you find it useful. Bruno, back to you.
Thank you. So the way that the webinar format will be, we'll cover three topics, and then we'll have a period of question at the end. On the top of your screen, you'll find a Q&A icon. If you want to ask questions, feel free to click on it, put the question. We'll cover all the questions at the end of the session. So today we want to talk about three main subjects. The first one will be ACH, the Automated Clearinghouse. We'll talk about the advantages. We'll look at the various options. We'll look at the prerequisite to become ACH and the enrollment. Second subject will be a PMS, periodic monthly statement. We'll look at the advantages. We'll look at the requirements to have PMS and the enrollment as well. And finally, we'll talk about ACE. ACE is the Automated Commercial Environment. It's a US portal where you could get information about your transaction. And also at the end, as I mentioned, we'll have a quick period of question. So feel free to put your question in the Q&A. So before we get started, Pierre-Marc, can you explain what exactly is ACH?
Of course, Bruno. So ACH, Automated Clearinghouse, is an electronic payment system that allows businesses to pay duties, taxes, and customs fees in the United States. It avoids using checks or manual payments, so it makes sure that your transactions go faster, they are more accurate, and also more secure. So reminder, electronic payment system, that's what the ACH is.
Andrea, what are the benefits of becoming ACH?
Well, ACH allows you to make fast and secure electronic payments. It gives you a reduction in administrative costs and processing errors. It also eliminates the risk associated with lost or stolen checks, and above all, have precise control over the timing of payments. Later in this presentation, we will be able to look at the extended payment terms you will have with the PMS options.
Thank you. So there's many options, two options in the ACH payment that are available. Pierre-Marc, you want to cover those?
Yes, there are two options. Our favorite one, and the one that's used by most importers, is the ACH debit option. What it means is that you will authorize the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the CBP, to debit directly your bank account. It requires a registration, and once you've registered, you will receive a unique number that is a payer unit number, or PUN. It is ideal for automating all payments and also to manage your cash flow. So this is the option that we recommend, and in the next slide we'll explain you why. The second option is the ACH credit. It means that you have the importer to initiate all payments through your bank. It offers you better control over the timing and the amount of the payments, and it is suitable for businesses that want direct control over their payments.
So by putting these two side by side, can you explain the differences?
Yes, there are some differences that you need to be aware of. So for the first criteria that we've analyzed is the payment initiation. For ACH debit, it is initiated by CBP with your authorization. As for ACH credit, it is initiated directly by the importer or their bank. Flexibility is the second criteria. With ACH debit, you will authorize automatically a payment for a specific amount. If you go with the credit option, you need, as the importer, to choose when and how much you pay, and this can have some consequences. Both systems are really secure. If you use ACH debit, your bank data, it is secure via your unique PUN number. If you go with ACH credit, then you have complete control over the funds. Both systems are low cost, low administrative costs, and there are no processing fee with ACH debit. But for the full cost, you need to check with your bank since they offer different forfeits or options that can make you have different costs depending on the option that you choose. The biggest difference and why we prefer the ACH debit is regarding the risk of error. With ACH debit, the risk of error is much lower because the CBP will validate the transaction, meaning that they will withdraw from your bank account directly the exact, the precise amount at the correct time when you have to pay. So you don't have to worry that you're submitting on time the right amount that is due to the CBP. But if you go with ACH credit, then the risks are higher because you need to make sure that you submit the correct amount and that you respect all the deadlines. Otherwise, if you don't, if you submit an incorrect amount, so not enough, and if you miss the deadline, you can be subject to penalties, fines, and also a prohibition from importing into the States if you miss too many payments. So if you use ACH credit, you need to be really, really careful. To register, if you go with ACH debit, you use a form that is the form 400 that is specifically for ACH debit. If you go with ACH credit, you need to use the form 401 to register. For implementation with ACH debit, it's simple. Once you fill the form and it's all correct, you will obtain your PUN number. Then what you have to do is you need to submit it to Access International, to your USB team, so Andrea's teams, at the email usb@accessintl.com. If you go with ACH credit, it is a little bit more complicated. We'll explain to you the full process once you've registered for the test and validation that you'll have to do.
So what are the requirements for the Canadian businesses registering on ACH?
First, you will need to have a bank account with a US branch or be a member of or be a customer of a Canadian bank that is an NACH a member. For example, National Bank, RBC, BMO. And you also need to provide a federal identification number, and this would be your tax ID number, social security number, or CBP assign number.
So can Canadian banks participate in the ACH program? You mentioned a few, but all the major banks are?
The answer is yes, and several major Canadian banks participate, such as Bank of Canada, Royal Bank of Canada, TD Canada Trust, HSBC Bank Canada, National Bank of Canada, and as mentioned, these banks must be NACHA participants to the National Automated Clearinghouse Association with the US branch. So this is important, and we do suggest you confirm this process with your bank.
How long does it take to set up an ACH account?
Currently, what we see is that new registration will take approximately 15 business days once all documents are submitted and they are error-free. If you do have an existing ACH account and you want to make changes, the current timeline is about 3 business days. Now, please take note that this can change. As you know, the tariff threat is looming over us, and many people are registering right now to ACH, so delays could happen. What we suggest is that you do it as soon as possible to avoid any delay.
Thank you. How do we register to become an ACH debit?
So you will need to start by completing the corresponding form, which is form 400 for ACH debit. Then you will send the application to the following email, and CBP will create an ACH account and assign you a PUN number. So what is a PUN number, you may ask? The PUN called Payer Unit Number is a unique identifier assigned to each business enrolled in the ACH debit program. It is used to secure payments and avoid transaction identification errors. So this number is required for all payment authorizations. As mentioned earlier, once you obtain your PUN number, please send it to Access by email at usb@accessintl.com, and please consider registering for the PMS, the periodic monthly statement. We will provide more information regarding PMS later on.
Thank you. And what is the registration process for ACH credit?
It is quite similar, but the form is different. So you need to look up for the form 401 that is specifically for ACH credit. Once it is filled, then you send the application to the email address ach-customs@cbp.dhs.gov. The CBP will review the application and will provide payment format and requirements. Then this is when you'll need to do test and validation. What you will have to do the different steps. So the Fellows Bank must test and validate the payment routing and account data. To do that, the filler, so yourself the importer, you will have to initiate a pre-note, non-dollar amount, so $0, with the addendum record transaction, and you must notify CBP of the pre-note date. Once the filler completes the pre-note transaction, CBP will notify the filler when they may begin submitting payments. Again, we strongly suggest that once you've done that, that you register for the PMS, which is the periodic monthly statement.
Is there any critical deadline that we should follow with ACH?
So ACH payments must be initiated at least one business day before the settlement date for ACH credit options. So this is essential to ensure that the amounts are available in your bank account and that you are able to do the transfer of payments directly to US Customs.
Okay, that completes the section on ACH. Let's move to periodic monthly statement, the PMS. Pierre-Marc, you want to explain a bit?
Of course. So the PMS is an option that is offered to you that will allow you to consolidate all duty and tax payments for a given month. There are many benefits for it, and that's why we strongly suggest that you register. First one is increased flexibility. It means that if you register to PMS, you'll be able to defer your payment until the 15th working day of the following month after customs clearance. Let's take an example here. If you have shipments that are cleared early February, then the duties will only be due on March 15 or approximately depending on the calendar. So this gives you up to 45 days to pay taxes and duties to CBP, which is a great thing for all importers, so to delay payment. Second benefit that you'll see is the simplified payments. So because you have a monthly statement, well, all your duties and taxes are consolidated into a single monthly statement. Otherwise, you will have daily statement. So it's a little bit harder sometimes to manage when you have daily statements, easier with a monthly statement. Third benefit, optimize cash flow management. It will help you to predict and manage financial resources that are required. And the fourth benefit is if you use ACE reports also. We'll talk about ACE at the end of the presentation, but through ACE, you'll be able to get detailed monthly activity tracking through the automated commercial environment, so the ACE system. What you must have if you want to enroll in the periodic monthly statement. First, you must have a valid continuous customs bound. Second, you must enroll into ACH debit or ACH credit option. And the third one is to have an active ACE account.
So what are the different steps? There's 3 steps to register.
For PMS, so the first step is to prepare documents. So you will need to complete the CBP form 5106 to activate your PMS account. Please ensure to indicate manually on the top of the form periodic monthly activation. The second step is to submit your request. So please send by email your completed form to the following email and CC the account manager's email address, as well as usb@accessintl.com. In the subject line, please indicate activation request with your IR number and your IR name. The IR number is the IRS number, or it could be a CBP assigned number. And the IR name is the importer of record. So on the body of the email, you will need to provide the ACE ID of the primary account, the IR number, which is the IRS number or the CBP assigned number, and the IR name, which is the importer of record. Please don't worry, we will give you an example of this on the next slide. So the third step is the verification and the activation. Once your request is processed, CBP will activate your PMS account and provide detailed instructions. So here is the example of the how to register of the email. So on the body of the email, you will need to indicate that you are interested in participating in PMS, either with an ACE account or as a non-ACE account. Provide a list of the importer of record, IR numbers, you are requesting for PMS activation. If you have an ACE account, provide the ACE ID from the top account and all ACE IDs associated for the included IR numbers. So please take note to not include more than 5 CBP forms 5106 in a single email, or this could get rejected.
Thank you. Oops, sorry. Are there any tips for successful participation?
Of course, Bruno. And the main one is to monitor your statement. So first, you want to make sure that all entry summaries are included and also correctly reported. So check your statements. The second one it's for the bank limits that you might have. So check that your bank allows the required withdrawals to avoid any delays. So we know that with 25% tariff, the amount of duties can be quite substantial for some importers. So first, you want to make sure that you have money available in your bank account. And second, check if there are limits put in place by your bank to safeguard your account. If there are limits, talk to your bank so you have them either increase or revoke so that payments don't get blocked. So check that with your bank. The third tip that we can give you is to make sure that you're actively communicating. If any issue arises, you must contact immediately either your broker or CBP so that we can work with you to fix any issues and make sure that payments are correctly done so you don't run into any trouble. So stay active all the time and be vigilant and proactive also.
So that concludes the section on PMS. Let's move to ACE. Andrea?
So ACE, what is ACE? ACE is the US electronic single window platform for all trade processing. And to create your ACE account, you can go to the following website to find the form to complete. You will need to complete sections A, B, C, and D. And once completed, you will send the application to the following email. Please note there is an average time of 3 to 5 business days to have your account. And once the login is available, you can proceed with an account setup, and you will be able to manage your reports online. So please note that we have created a guide on how to produce these reports, and it will be available soon on our website.
So on our website, you will find the various resources that we talked about. On our website, if you go to accessintl.com, go to the section on top of the screen, ACH and PMS. Then if you click to that section, you will have access to question and answer guide on ACH for Canadian business. Also, you will have a guide on how to participate in PMS and how to register for your ACE accounts. So all these forms are available on our website. So it is time to open the line for question, meaning that if you have any question, use the Q&A on top of your screen, or Q&R in some cases, and type your question. Yes, we will be sending those slides to everybody with the link to our website. So feel free to ask question in the Q&A and we'll answer. We have 35 participants in this webinar, must have one question. There's one question.
Yeah, I do see
Sure.
questions. So go
Okay.
ahead, Bruno.
Is there any processing fee to become PMS?
The answer to that is no, there are no processing fee for that. So it's all free to register for PMS. If you register for ACH, CBP will not charge any fee, but sometimes some banks can charge, can have special forfeits or plan where there will be some fees, but usually there are minimal fees. But for PMS processing, no fee for that, and not for ACE also.
Okay, we are located in Canada. How to open an ACE account? Andrea, you want to answer this one? You covered the ACE
Yes.
section.
The ACE account, it's basically you can be a Canadian account or a USA account. You still have access to open your ACE account. So it's the same process. You follow the instructions on the form, and it will give you access to your account, even if you're a Canadian company.
Okay, another question here. Can we issue payments directly to US CBP through a wire payment if we're not with one of the main bank listed? I would encourage you, John, to verify with your bank. Some Canadian accounts have agreements with US Bank for ACH. I don't know if you guys want to add anything to this.
Well, there's the option with CBPs of what we call Fed wire. It's not an option that we will, I mean, it does exist, but it's a little bit more complicated and it can have some higher fees. And like you said, Bruno, usually it's not directly issued from a Canadian bank, but it's through a US bank also that would be put in place.
Another question here. So ACE ID is not mandatory for PMS registration. Andrea?
The ACE ID is not mandatory. No, it's not mandatory, but I mean, that's depending on, are you going to go by PMS or are you not going to go by PMS? So if you're going to go by PMS, then, and you want to get your ACE, then yes, you should have the ACE account to go with the PMS because it's more advantageous like that. You will know when exactly you're going to get the payments and the dates. So you like Pierre-Marc was saying, you should ensure that that all the payment is available and do the transfer to U.S. Customs if you choose ACH credit and ACH, and if you choose ACH debit, well, all the amounts are gonna be withdrawn from your account.
Okay. We do have question coming on the chat and the Q&A at the same time, so I'm just switching from the two screens. The payments are payment to ACH are for duties and tax. What about the regular access fee? You will still continue to be invoiced for our fees, but you won't see duties and tax on your invoice. They won't be payable to us. You'll pay them directly through your statement. I have another one here. Another broker is in the US already registered ACH payment for us. Do we just provide the PUN number to access?
Correct, yes. If you already have a PUN number and you have your method, so I guess it's ACH debit, then yes, you just submit the information to access with your PUN number. And that's the way we can set up your account correctly in our custom software. So to make sure that the duties and taxes are routed correctly for the payment option. So yes, if you already have a PUN number and it's done through access, that's just fine also. We just set it up in your account.
I have another question here. If the implementation of the tariff is delayed, do we still have to register for ACH?
The answer to that is yes. I strongly suggest that you register to ACH even if there's a possibility that the tariff will be delayed. Why? Well, it's because it's better to be prepared. Registering to ACH right now doesn't force you to use ACH. It's just that you'll be ready on day one if ever the tariffs are put into place. So I suggest that you do it as soon as possible so you're ready if or when the tariffs come into place. And there might be changes in the tariffs. So right now we're talking about 25% on all goods with Canadian origin, except 10% on energy. But in 1 month it can be different. In 2 months it could be different. Also, we don't know what will happen. If you know, please tell me. I wish I knew. So,
Another question here. Could you please let me know if there's a deadline for ACH setup? I'm concerned that if my bank takes too long to set it up, it may cause delay to my shipment. Could you please advise, is a risk or my shipment been stopped due to this delay?
Andrea, do you want to answer or want me to go ahead for that?
Yes, go ahead with that.
Okay. Well, there's no deadline for ACH, so we suggest that you do it as soon as possible. If ever tariffs come into place and you're not set up with ACH, we do offer other options for importers to help streamline the process and that your shipments still get clear. These are temporary options that we offer until your registration to ACH is completed, but we will support importers in the meanwhile. An example for that, it can be either giving us a deposit so we can support your duties. That's an option that's offered also, but we again strongly suggest that you register to ACH, but no deadline, do it as soon as you can.
Okay, another question here. When will the ACH debit start? Question mark. Only if the new tariff are put in place? Question mark.
Yes,
Only,
oh, go ahead,
okay.
Andrea, go ahead.
Well, if they come into place, well, do you have to register for ACH if the tariffs do not take place? Well, no. I mean, the registration is a preliminary step. So to use ACH and PMS, we have to activate everything on your importer profile to actually activate it. So
But we do have importers that are already ACH and there's no tariff in place. So that's another way of paying duties and taxes directly to CBP. And as Pierre-Marc mentioned earlier in the slide, in one of the slides, it's giving you a higher payment option. You could go up to 45 days for a transaction done in the beginning of the month. You only have to pay it the 15th open day of the next month. So it's as far
if
as
you
the
go
cash flow is
PMS,
confirmed. If you go, yeah, it's important to mention if we go PMS, because if you don't go PMS, then you'll have to pay on a daily basis. Is there any other question? If I no longer want to use ACH, can I go back?
Yes. Nothing's permanent in life for that. So yes, you could go back.
Okay. If I have multiple legal entities, do I have to register each of them separately on ACH?
yes, every importer has to have their importer number, so they must have their own registration number for ACH.
Okay, one question here. Can my custom broker complete the registration process with the ACH?
Not really. All the importers are responsible. You are the importer of record. So Access, however, can assist you with everything that you need. We can guide you and go through the process together.
Okay. Another question here. If we authorize access to make payments for us, do we need a PUN number?
The PUN number will be given to you if you register for ACH debit. If you don't register to ACH debit or ACH credit and you still need access to pay duties and taxes on your behalf, then you will not need the PUN number. So there are options that we offer to our clients, but we still suggest you that you register to ACH because of all the uncertainties that are in place. But if ever it's the case, you're not able to register, you don't have a PUN number, so you don't need it if Access continues to pay on your behalf the duties and taxes.
Can you unsubscribe from ACH?
You could. definitely you will need to verify and send an email to the ACH, to the automated clearinghouse. There's a special email where you can send your request. You should inform your bank if you have to do cancel authorizations and update your information about the unsubscription.
Okay, we have a question here from Mustafa who came in late. I have an ACH registered and I have my PIN number. How do I sign up for ACE and register for PMS? I would ask you to look at the deck of slide we're going to forward you after. You will have the link to do the setup for PMS and ACH. Otherwise, you could consult our website at ACE and PMS icon on top of the screen. You will need to follow the instruction and you will be able to set up for ACH and PMS. There are no further questions unless we give it to, oh, a new one came in. What is the delay between registering for ACH credit? I want to make sure that the registration for PMS was approved to avoid daily payment. First, you need to register for ACH, which could take 3 to 5 days. And then you could...
No, Bruno,
Oh,
ACH
sorry.
registering is 15 business days, not
Oh,
3
sorry,
to 5.
it's true.
15 business days for ACH credit, and then you need to do the test and to receive authorization from CBP to do your payment. So that could add a few more days. So keep that in mind.
For the PMS, it could take up to 3 business days. So in total, let's say 2 to 3 weeks to have everything in place. Plus the ACE, it could take 3 to 5 business days to have your account set up.
Okay. Another question here, is the Canadian import-export number the same as the CBP importer number?
The Canadian, no, it's basically the CBP assigned number. It's given to you once you set up your account for you to be able to export into the US. So CBP gives you that number. And for you, because you are not a US company, basically. So this is for non-resident companies.
Okay. Question here, if Access pays on behalf of its customers, should the customer make a deposit with Access?
Yes, that's the simplest way to go. If you import only once a year in the US, then there are different options. But if you are a regular importer, having a deposit with Access would be the simplest way for you if you don't register through ACH.
But our recommendation is to go ACH first. So another question. So if I go through ACH credit, can I jump straight to paying based on the PMS?
Not sure I understand the question, but if I try to reframe it, if you select ACH credit and you register to PMS, you will receive your periodic monthly statement and you will see the amount that you need to pay. You need to respect the calendar, the payment calendar that has been issued for the payments also, so you know which date, when you have to pay, and with your statement, you know which amount you have to pay. So I hope it answers your question. So you register ACH credit, you need to register to PMS, then you can use these dates as a payment dates and the amount that you'll receive on your periodic monthly statement.
Okay. We have a question here from Nancy. Nancy, I would probably direct you, ask you to call us. Maybe we'll be in a better position to answer your question if you haven't passed the test for ACH credit. And same thing for John. We'll take that offline, Mr. Graham. So please give us a call. We'll answer these questions. We're getting into too granular here on the question. May not be the right forum to talk about specifics.
Well, I can answer the question that Bruno. So if you register for ACH and you haven't set up a PMS, you'll have to do daily payments. So, I mean, that's why it's important to do it as soon as possible. So once your PMS is set up, then you'll pay once a month. But if you don't set up PMS, then you'll have to do daily payments if you import on a daily basis. If you import once a week, then you'll pay once a week. And if you don't register PMS, you pay at about 10 days after release date. So it depends at what frequency you import also in the States. So these are many variables to look into. As an example, Access, we transact with CBP on a daily basis. So we have daily payments to make to CBP. But if you import once a month, then you'll pay 10 days after the release date approximately. So I hope it answers your question, Mr. Graham. So.
Okay, one more question. We importer, our US entity, registered ACH already. Our Canadian office as the exporter, I guess no need to register.
That's
Yep.
correct. Yeah. It's only the importer of record that needs to
Yeah.
register to ACH. So if you're registered already, all done, all good.
Yeah, and
But
on your
please let
document,
us know. Please send
Yes.
it to us so we can activate it on our site.
and also you mentioned it earlier, Andrea, the documentation will become more and more important as to who is the importer of record on the document. It needs to be specified. Otherwise, you may get calls, you may have delays at the border because of that. So just make sure that the documentation is properly filled.
Correct.
So that concludes our presentation. I hope it was educating. If you have more questions, you could go to our website and consult our various links that we put on our website, or you could always give us a call and we will answer your specific questions. Thank you very much, everybody. Hopefully
Thank you
you'll
all.
sign up very fast for ACH and we'll see what happens on March 4th.
Thank you all for your participation. I hope you've enjoyed. And also, Bruno, if I can add, if you want to keep to stay updated, make sure that you register to your newsletter also. So thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.